Check out my predictions for round 6 of the Currie Cup. Welcome back to SkinnyBru Rugby, guys. So it's the second last round of the Currie Cup. It's the Griquas versus the Vipia. Pumas against the Free State Lions up against the Sharks. The competition for the semis are close. At the moment, the Griquas are at the top of the log with 15 points, as well as the Lions with 15. I read somewhere in an article this week that it's been the first time in like 15 years that in this late stage of the season, I think in 5 weeks into the season or 6 weeks into the season, that the top two teams have 0 points difference between them. Both of them have a 0 point difference. Free State on 12 at number 3, then Vipia also 12 points, Sharks with 10, Bulls with 9, and then Pumas in last with 7. The top 3 teams all go up against the lower ranked teams, so everything could be changing at the end of this weekend. This whole log could be topsy-turvy by the end of the weekend. Let's get into it. On Friday night, the Griquas are going up against the Vipia over in Kimberley. It is a must win for the Vipia, but they might have some problems with all these late call-ups from their team that went to the Springboks. Guys like Ntubeni, Wilco Lowe and Dylan Lades were called up, and then of course for the captain Siya Kolisi. So some changes has been made for the Griquas. They are already at the top, and they might smell some blood in this Vipia side now that they see some changes has been made. Recent record for the two sides: 3 out of 4 for the Griquas, and then 2 out of 4 for the Vipia. Both won their last game though, and both of them were pretty convincing victories. The history between the two sides: the Griquas beat the Vipia last time in June this year, 50-21, but the Vipia do tend to win in Kimberley. The Griquas have been very dominant in most of their games this season, but 2 weeks ago they had a 54-point loss to the Cheetahs, and that just put them a little bit back on their tracks. Hopefully they do build on that again. It looked like they bounced back last week with some impressive performances by their players. The 2 losses from the Vipia, both of them narrow losses, one by 5 points to the Sharks and the other one by 2 points to the Lions. Individual performances by the Griquas, guys like Hasna has been standing out. He's a great runner with the ball alongside Swats in that team. Burger at number 9, he's just an exceptional player. He's been playing well with those couple of tries he scored last week. And then our old boy Bjorn Basson on the bench for the team. He's just an exciting guy. It's just good to see him back in that side again. Then, except for the forced changes for the Vipia that they had to make because of the Springbok selection, Willemse is on the bench coming back from injury. Like I said in my other video that I will link up here, the guys that might miss out on Rugby World Cup selection, he's probably gonna miss out unless he has a stellar performance. And from the bench, you wouldn't expect it, but they did say he is really looking to impress in this weekend's game. Then Carlos Sari, he starts this weekend. He's very strong at scrums. And then Norche, he has been impressive at number 8. I've always liked him. He is a fast player. It's like having another center on the side. The Vipia do look the stronger side if you compare them individually. It would have been 4 wins for them, 4 out of 4, if it wasn't for those close defeats. I think this team can score a couple of tries. They do have a couple of exciting players in that team. So I think the Vipia could win this one by 9. Then it's the Pumas against the Cheetahs. The records for the two teams: the Cheetahs have played 4 games and they've only won 2. They've lost their last 2, one by 2 points to the Lions and one by 7 points to the Sharks. So it is pretty narrow margins for them. And then for the Pumas, they've played 5 games already and they've only won 1 by this point. All the games were close though, and they really put up a fight in all of them except for the last weekend's game against the Vipia. So they might be bouncing back and try and perform at their best this weekend. Last time these two sides met in 2008, the Pumas won by 42-14 in Bloemfontein. but the Cheetahs do tend to beat the Pumas away from home, so that's gonna be good for the Cheetahs in this situation. Both teams are good at playing running rugby with defensive lapses every now and then. You can expect that. Both tend to make the wrong call at penalty times as well. Sometimes they should be going for the penalty at goal where they go for line, or other way around, or they should be scrumming. The Cheetahs, even last week, the week before that, they made a bunch of mistakes where they didn't go for poles, I think 5 times or in a row, I think something like that. And then last week they were going at the poles the whole time and never went for the line or the scrum, even though they had the opportunity to. So that's been tough calls for them. Last week the Cheetahs played very conservative rugby, so I don't think that's going to suit them. It really doesn't suit their style of rugby, so I think they will be running this week. And the Pumas, they won't have anything to lose in this week. They won't want to lose again by such a big margin. I think they're probably out of the season unless they have a massive victory and something miraculously happens, but I think they're out, so they can just play for pride at this moment. So they will want to push the Cheetahs as far as they can, but I think the Free State has something to play for and they will win by 12 in this game at the end. Then we have one game on Sunday, the Lions up against the Sharks. The Sharks will want to push to get to 4th place, that qualifying spot for the semi-finals, especially if the Vietnam or Cheetahs lose in this week. They could even end up 3rd place if they do win and those two sides lose. If they get a bonus point victory, they could even go to 2nd place past the Lions in this week's competition. If the Vietnam do lose though, the Lions won't want to widen that gap to the Griquas at the top, so they would want to win as well. But if the Vietnam does win, the Lions could go to the top of the rankings, so they would have something to play for in any one of those situations. They lost by 5 points last week in a high scoring game as usual with this side. That backline is just a very exciting mix of young talent. The Sharks beat the Cheetahs last week by 7 points and the Vietnam by 7 points 2 weeks ago. But the other two they actually lost, so they haven't been convincing in their season. Their team is on the up though, so they would want to improve and want to prove themselves to the spectators. They've won all their games since 2017 against the Lions. Actually, the last time they lost to them is in 2016. So on paper, I think the Lions team is a little bit better though. They could have the upper hand in this one, especially because they're at home, so they have their supporters behind their back. It's an exciting backline. Like I said, they have young talent in there. They can play great running rugby, and they have a lot of reasons to win the Lions. So I think the Lions will win by 5. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please let me know your predictions down in the comments below. Also check out my other videos for the international rugby coming up this weekend as well. And then I'll see you for the next video. Cheers.